function was in such a way that they used to buy software at different point of time. And if you really look at the entire business process, actually, that today those tools don't really talk to each other, those software don't talk to each other, and people are doing the same mundane work for years together. When we really look at AI projects, you cannot do it on isolation, that is for sure. Because you need to understand the overall impact, overall understanding of the business, so that you can really look at where to have the line of intervention to really start with. Where your emotions are low, where your emotions are high, look at those processes first. Because emotions are high because someone is coming to you to do business because you are good at it. So how to go to the new level using AI? And at the same time, we also look at some of the pain points. If you really look at quality documents of most of the organizations, it's not really well written. Today, it's an opportunity to rewrite things. Or maybe the website. You can have a new impactful websites, right? These are very low hanging, which can give high impact, right? So the first skill you need to learn if you really want to enter into the AI projects is learning design thinking. Because design thinking enables you to look at every aspect. It's not only solving a single problem, right? So Herbert Simon, he was the founder. I mean to say, he was the inventor of design thinking. He was also the Nobel Prize winner, and at the same time, his work was on cognitive psychology. He's also known as father of AI. The reason was how to really see people as people. These are the real fundamental things you need to really imbibe to really identify the innovation projects. So the implementation part, when you look at the right projects to pick up so that there will be a motivation for you to go to the next level. Okay? Because many people try and then fail. They say, this is not for us. If you say not for us, it's not about return on innovation, on return on investment. It is return on ignorance. It's going to impact you in the long term. Okay? Thank you so much.
I'll just combine both those tracks. So I'll just talk about the tech stack and then what entrepreneurs can really do in our local ecosystem out here. So the first thing is that about the challenges in upskilling in AI. There are only about 3,000 AI data scientists in the world, right? And if, let's say, 30 of them happen to be in Paris, and you get somebody's number, and you call them, they might not take your call because they'll be already drowned in so many projects, right? So all these technologies like AI, cloud, low-code, no-code, these are all DIY technologies, do-it-yourself technologies. And they are all of them have been successful technologies. Just look at cloud. Cloud, wow, just to come to think of it, it started way back in early 2000, right? So we've already got 2 decades of cloud and it's now become mainstream. We're all using public cloud, private cloud, hybrid cloud, multi-cloud. And what is this technology? It's all DIY. The second aspect is the fact that you all can use some of the resources available. There's Neptune.ai, which does a very good job in merging the AI data pipelines and statistics and data science together so that you don't do every part of it in isolation. Then there's also MarkovML.com. It just took me about 15 minutes to ingest an Excel sheet where I wrote down all the hyperparameters, and I just clicked a button and I got all the data science properties out there, all the algorithms, classification, clustering in just 15 minutes. And there's also the TensorFlow Analytics Playground. This is a very good online kind of a browser model available where you can immediately learn what is epoch, what is loss, F1 score, accuracy, what is noise, what is the batch size, and automatically as you change those parameters, you can also see visually all those the output of those algorithms. And then finally, we must also start using the chip maker kind of frameworks, because chip makers like NVIDIA and Intel. NVIDIA has got a lot of frameworks, developer frameworks, especially around gradient boosting. Intel has got the OpenVINO framework. So these frameworks are very helpful, which will accelerate your development of your AI solution. Just as these chip makers are propelling what we call as accelerated computing, the same way you can accelerate your AI development. I just heard that the next NVIDIA chip called the Blackwell processor is going to have 208 billion transistors on a single chip. So that is the opportunity out there. From a startup perspective, it's very important to start getting customers or even a small revenue right from day one. Right? There is a lot of demand for, right now there are a lot of demand for autonomic systems. There's a lot of demand for smart material. There's a lot of demand for, of course the fintech demand continues, but I think on the hardware side, there's a lot of demand for drones. Right? So these are the clusters which are going to see exponential growth. There's a lot of investments because of this, because of geopolitics, there's going to be a lot of investments in deep tech, in smart material. So I think this is a once in a lifetime opportunity for all of you all. Just take the shot, do it yourself. The entire ecosystem is out there to help you all, and wish you all the very best in your AI journeys.
Thank you so much. That was a wonderful round. So therefore, if I have to summarize, look at developing HDB as the AI leader for India and the world. And that can happen if you follow some of Hema's points, which is have the right business planning or outcome planning. I think KDM is right on point, and they are having the goals always very clear. Every time Sanjeev speaks, he keeps bringing the goal back into the center. So if you drive with that outcome of creating jobs, creating opportunity, creating outcome for HDB, just like in the AI project, there are many things to choose, but choose wisely, then the future looks bright. With this, we are signing off from the first panel. Thank you everybody for being here. It was really good. Thank you my co-panelists. I learned a lot. I have my notes in my pocket. I hope you have your notes in your pocket. Thank you very much. Over to the organizer. Yeah.
Thank you so much, panelists, for your evocative discussion. I request the panelists to stay back on the stage. We have a small token of appreciation for you. I now request Mr. Jacob to present the mementos to the panelists. And to present the memento to Mr. Jacob, I would like to call upon the stage Mr. Venkatesh Patil ji. For the group. Thank you so much. Thank you. Before we move on to our next session, I would like to draw your attention to the array of exciting stalls set up just outside the venue. These stalls showcase innovative technologies, products, and service from various companies and startups. I strongly encourage you to take some time during the breaks to explore these exhibits and engage with the presenters. Adding to it, if you have any queries or need assistance during the event, please reach out to any member from the KDM team. I would like to also bring to your attention two more important parallel discussions are happening shortly. One at 12:15 p.m., which will be chaired by Mr. Darshan HV IAS on EMC 2.0, how to make the EMC 2.0 a cluster success. And at 1:15 p.m., we have Mrs. Parnika Pavan Ram chairing a roundtable on women at work, how to increase women's participation in the workforce. Both the sessions will take place in the main building of the hotel's boardroom in the first floor. We are now privileged to welcome Mr. Avinash Vashishta, Chairman and CEO Tholons and partner at Arise Ventures. With distinguished career, including leadership at Accenture, he will share his insight on GCC's to Bharat, exploring how emerging markets are poised and transform to the global business landscape. Following his address, Mr. Bhaskar Verma, Regional Director, Karnataka and Tamil Nadu at NASSCOM, will moderate a Q&A session engaging with the audience. Over to you, sir.
Well, good morning. And I think I have a small presentation to help us visualize some of the things that I'm going to talk about. But it's a pleasure to be here, and my first trip to Hubli. And yesterday I was there, the Deshpande startups, and I was simply blown away. I think blown away is a mild term, because as Mr. Deshpande talked about in the morning, about it being one of the largest incubators, accelerators in the country, I would actually say it is the largest. And in fact, if you look at the depth of what's out there, especially if you look at seeing the design, lab itself, the 3D lab itself, I mean, where do you find any of these things in any accelerator? This is providing the infrastructure also for many startups to actually be able to kind of innovate and do things at a very, very affordable price. So, and I think I would like to personally, thank, Desh on this stuff. I think he's done not just something for Hubli, I think it is something for Bharat, essentially. And this should be the kind of model that we can hopefully take across the country. So a lot of good things are happening in the state of Karnataka. And, thanks, Sanjeev, for giving me the opportunity to kind of experience what I saw yesterday and the community over here in Hubli. So I guess I'll just go along without my presentation. But I think just to kind of give a brief overview of what my firm Tholons is and who I am, because it's very, very relevant. I came in to India as an expat way back in the 90s when Nortel said, hey, you know what, we need to develop R&D and we need resources. And at that time, this was like way back in the 94, 95 time frame, and we want to kind of explore India and we want to explore Vietnam and things like that. So my boss, Diju Raha, basically watched a program on Public Broadcasting Corporation in the US, and which was about India way back in the early 90s and about the talent and things like that. He went in to the institution and said, I want to buy all the 30-hour tapes that you have about that entire documentary stuff. And he watched that 30 hours. So that was the experience, immersive experience he got at that time. And then he comes to India, and there was only one company that was kind of known at that point, which is TCS. And they used to basically send people to the US to do, technology. and he met a person. At that time, Mr. Kohli was there, and then he met a person who said, hey, I want to talk to you. And he says, fine, jump in my car on the way to the airport. At the end of the trip, he said, Nandan, I don't know you, I don't know your company, but you seem to be a nice guy, I'll give you some work. And that's how Infosys became the second company to work with Nortel. And then there was another gentleman who came in his car, and driving himself to the Taj Hotel in Mumbai. And at the end of the conversation, Diju said, Mr. Premji, you are a great person. I know you want to get into IT. Sure, we'll love to work with you. And said that's how Wipro became the third one. So essentially when I came in, these were the companies that were partners of Nortel. And no one knew how to do offshoring. So basically my task was to work with all of them and essentially teach them as to how they can do the work. Now when you say we, it's Nortel Australia, Japan, Nortel Germany, Nortel UK, Nortel Canada, Nortel US, and within US also multiple locations. So there were like 18, if you look at clients from across the globe that we were dealing with at that point. And we conceptualized the word called ODC, Offshore Development Center. What that meant was each and every development center had the identity of the home group that they were working with, literally. This is the beginning of this outsourcing industry. At that time, it is basically, people thought this was an extension of their group. And so that was the beginning. And I personally worked with Premji, Narayan Murthy, and everyone in the industry at that point trying to basically learn together. So my life has been, for the last 30 years, essentially working together to build this industry. And not just in India. I mean, after I left Nortel, I created a company which eventually became the first and the largest company to bring clients to India, Philippines, Latin America, and Eastern Europe. And I love this industry because the joy of trying to use technology and trying to skill people and trying to make wealth for each and everyone who's in this industry is just amazing. So let me see. So this is just basically a brief overview of what we do. For the last 30 years, we have also been ranking countries and cities on how good they are. We have worked with countries and cities in terms of developing them to be where some of them are today. In terms of the fact that when we talk about GCCs and all the stuff, in our career for our last 30 years of working in this thing, we have done many, many GCCs, about 150 plus clients, about 250 plus engagements. We have employed 160,000 people and more for our clients, and so on and so forth. So I think the experience we have is great. I thought I was done with that part of my life, but what has happened in the last 1 year, especially because of what GenAI is doing, there is a significant need to reinvent each and every enterprise. And today we saw in the panel discussion, when things are doing 100 times more capable, just imagine what's out there. Each and every enterprise is lost today as to how do I benefit from the GenAI, from the AI stuff. How does technology get consumed? How does my business process get changed, by the way? I think it's about customer experience, essentially, fine? And I think it's very, very difficult. And if you look at the IT services firm, really speaking, our model has been of providing experienced and skilled resources to the client to do work. We have not taken as much initiative ourselves in terms of seeing as to what we would do differently, what we would do on our own. And I think this is the time when we have to take that. We have to be the people who are learning how to do prompt engineering, if you may, but at the same time, go to the clients and say, we believe you should do things this way. Because till now, for the last 30 years, what we have been doing is saying, client, tell us what need to do. They will say, do these 10 steps, and we will do the 10 steps. This is not how the future is going to be shaped. So if the IT services firm, the BPO firms want to have any future in this industry, I think they have to take charge of what the client should do. So very, very important. I think there's a very significant fundamental shift, and that is the reason why, my firm and myself have been for the last 1 year saying, you know what, this is a difficult task, this is a challenging task, this is an exciting task, and we want to be at the center of it. This is just the client stuff that we have done over the last 30 years. And we have presence all over the world in all talent-rich countries. And we have, had GCCs created and clients taken to all of those places. Well, I think, anyway, so the slides are not working for me. If you look at it, in the year 2000, it was all about outsourcing. And in the year 2010 is when the digital got started. And in 2020, because of the COVID, we had the hybrid workforce, and the talent got globalized. And in 2023, the AI really made a very, very big difference. And I think in 25, in my view, it will be very, very imperative that all the strategies and way people do things will change because of that stuff. Anyway, I'm having problems with these slides, so that's okay. I think in terms of the global capability centers, what is the most essential things of a global capability center? It is number one, work with clients in terms of where they should come, what they should basically do in that place, when they should do it, and how. When we say how is about doing things in either outsourcing it to third parties like Infosys, Wipro, and things like that, or it is to have these people do a BOT sometimes. That means, you'll build it for us, and then we can take it, for ourselves. And the other one is someone basically says, I will help you build your own operations in that sense. And that's what GCC is all about, is to help build those own operations. Now, why people want to do it, why clients want to do it, is for one reason, is the fact that clients are saying, we want to not just do simple application support. Okay, application support and maintenance, but what we also want to do is also do core processes. That means processes that are very core to the business. For example, for a bank, giving credit to large businesses is very core. They don't outsource that stuff, but they want to do it in their own center. The other thing that they want to do is to do things which are very, very core which will be reinvented by AI. And that is also something that they want to do. But the fact is the clients do not have that skill set. The talent is in countries like India, for example. The talent is in Bharat. And for that reason, they would want to basically engage with the companies like Infosys, Wipro, and others, by the way. And so GCCs are going to become the platform where everyone will get engaged with. Today, we get engaged with clients in the US. I mean, the owners of the GCC may be sitting in the US, but GCCs will become the platform. So people will actually go and pitch to the GCCs that we want to get involved in the core processes, we would get involved in the outsourcing of the AI stuff, by the way. This is just a cost slide which basically says that, in the US, the cost is about $140,000 per person. And in the companies like Infosys, Wipro, the cost is about $50,000 per person per year. And in the most expensive GCC, for example, like JP Morgan Chase, the cost is about $40,000 per person per year. I mean, it's simple math, by the way, because JP Morgan Chase is not really charging a margin, if you may. They do have a transfer pricing, but they're not charging margin. But also, what happens is, in a IT firm, one-third of the senior management or mid-management is out there trying to do business development for growth, and that is not something which a captive is tasked with. So if you look at some of those things, the captives become, or the GCCs become extremely rewarding. So I think the whole idea for Hubli and for Bharat is going to be, is how can you attract the GCCs to come in? Now, what is the basic issue that we have to tackle? If you look at it, a client will say, you know what, I know Bangalore, and why do I need to go to tier 2? So that is something that we have to give enough compelling reasons why. Now, people will say Bangalore because, it is very crowded, and the traffic is a lot. It takes a lot of time for people to kind of move to the offices and home. You know what? Bharat is the answer for that, okay? Number two, the people say, well, I'm not able to find enough skills because there's so much of demand for skilled people that attrition is high. Now, I think that is something like Hubli could be an amazing answer for that. But the issue is, Bangalore is able to attract talent which is experienced and ready from all over India. That will not be possible for Hubli, right? So Hubli has to basically do one thing which is extremely important, is to be able to skill resources on skills that are very hot, by the way. And that is probably the most important thing. In terms of the infrastructure, people don't really expect the Class A buildings that you see in the Bangalore to be here in Hubli, but Class B buildings, as long as they have open spaces, for example, what we saw yesterday in the Deshpande startups is definitely nothing Class B, it's Class A, absolutely fine. But it is probably more affordable than what it would cost in a city to build Class B buildings. So I think people think buildings have to be functional, they have to be nice, they have to go along with what the tier 2 city is. I was there with a healthcare client in Colombia and in Mexico just about a week ago. And we did see real estate, we did meet people and all of that stuff. In the end, there were two things that they're going to make a decision on, is the quality, scale, and the cost of the talent, and a basic infrastructure for people to kind of feel good to work in that environment, and those two things. And really speaking, I think from a quality perspective, I think you can train people and get good quality in Hubli. From a scale perspective, no one expects the kind of scale they do from Bangalore. So I think there are enough engineering colleges. Just look at the colleges that you have around this place. There are enough of them to have the scale. Number three, the cost will at least be 20% lower than Bangalore. And by the 20% cost differential is a big decision criteria, by the way. And the other thing is the real estate, the infrastructure. You have an airport, it doesn't take much time to move between those places. So I think that way Hubli is a great option. I would say, what are kind of skills that you need to do? I think this is extremely important. I've just put some skills over here which are more to do with data, which are more to do with AI, more to do with cloud management. So these are the skills, by the way, that are there. And this requirement of the skill will change very fast. But I think there needs to be whatever the incentives that KDM, for example, wants to give should be on promoting people to be able to kind of skill people over here. And also, I think if you look at it, there are certain things that are required. Now, no one is going to be able to invest money into creating any LLMs themselves. So this is something there where you can work with the Microsoft, you can work with the AWSs, and you can work with a lot of these other places where they are putting in billions and billions of dollars to do this stuff and to be able to have partnership. So for example, all of you know that Microsoft and AWS give you cloud credits. And they also, for AI stuff, they give you about $500,000 to be able to even develop your product. So I don't know whether, how many people are aware of that stuff. So I think some of those programs may not be very well known in India, but those are some of the programs that I think someone like KDM can really partner with those people and bring it to, to Bharat in that sense. I think, thank you so much. And I look forward to the panel conversation with, with Bhaskar. But really speaking, I'm personally very excited after being 30 years in this industry about the opportunity that India has, the opportunity that Bharat has on being at the center of creating the platform for the clients across the world to come in and engage with the talent over here. And that platform really is called GCC. And so I'd love to see as to what we can do to bring GCCs to Bharat.
Thank you so much, sir. Now I request Mr. Bhaskar Verma to join us on the stage. Over to you both.
Good morning. First of all, thank you for having me here. And I always feel very privileged I'm part of this IT industry. And what Avinash has talked about, it took me 25 years back, and I have a privilege to work with him earlier. And obviously, I will talk about that, what we have done together. But I will start with some provoking thoughts and some fast facts and the numbers. If you will see the IT industry, in India, we contribute around 254 billion, employ close to 5.5 million people, direct employment. And if I talk only about Karnataka, it's around 34%. Now, if you think only, and if I zoom in only in Karnataka and connecting it to this cluster, how many people are already migrated from here to Bangalore, and whether they would be interested to come back here and work from here? It's food for thought. Think about it, how we can initiate this. From NASSCOM standpoint, there's a major focus on emerging hubs. And there are 5 levers which we have recommended to Government of India and Government of Karnataka. And Avinash has already touched about it. But just to take you back, Avinash, it was almost 25 years back when Accenture India Delivery Center was formed. And if you remember the conversation, it was more how we can sell Accenture IDC to the globe. And we keep on doing a lot of presentation on infrastructure, how Bombay looks like, what Bangalore look like. But for this cluster, if you can recommend few suggestions on the infrastructure side, how it can be positioned, not only limited to GCCs, but also overall as the IT industry. Your thoughts?
No, I think, thank you, Bhaskar, for that. Again, I can't just not think about the trip that I took a week ago into Colombia and Mexico. First of all, I think how do you go in and out of the airport is normally your first experience of the city, fine. And I think having more flight, for example, would be great. Okay. I think the experience of coming in with the luggage coming, I didn't have the luggage, but I saw people's luggage coming right away itself is good, by the way. So I think just more flights would be good in that sense. The second experience that people have is they normally would come in and have meetings in certain places. And today I think people like a little bit more lively places with a lot of natural light and things like that. They don't really care about how sophisticated the infrastructure is, because if you look at it, everyone's getting used to the startup stuff where you can look up and the ceiling is not necessarily false ceiling. The ceiling is basically having some cables and things like that, and it may be painted white, painted black, that's about it. They're perfectly fine with that. In fact, they prefer that in that sense. But it's much more functional, much more easy to maintain, much more affordable in that sense, fine. I think having just basic office stuff is extremely important, fine. I mean, what did we not like when we went to Colombia and Mexico is the fact that some of these buildings had low, false ceiling, the light was not enough, it was dark, and that doesn't give people the thing. Very, very important. So if you look at each and every campus that is being built today, there's so much openness, there's so much light, there's so much of greenery in that sense. Let's look at the JP Morgan Chase Center in Bangalore and the one in Mumbai, state of the art. There's hardly any center in the entire world that is as good. I mean, I went to the Apple stuff in Cupertino. That's great, by the way. But there are very few like that, basically.
And in addition to that, what while most of and we are privileged being in Karnataka, in Bangalore, and I'm sharing one of my experience, one of the different government or state minister and CM were here a month back, and few of the things which was very straight directly from the industry leaders on the infrastructure side. One is definitely Avinash talked about the office infrastructure. But it needs to be completely holistic infrastructure, starting from your schools, hospitals, and it's not limited to that because the kind of generation we are dealing with, we may not feel a pub is important, but it is. Because everyone asks about if you are hiring a 6-7 year experienced person, he will say, okay, what is my life? What is my social life in that particular city? So that plays a very important role, what I see, more from the holistic standpoint. Avinash, moving on to the next point, because this is the second aspect that we have proposed to central government and state. On the talent side, it's more towards, when you see talent acquisition, as per our recent report in NASSCOM, we see in any of the emerging hubs, it's single-digit attrition.
It is?
It's a single-digit attrition, and if I can name, it's around 6 to 8%. And when the moment you move to a Bangalore or a Mumbai, it goes to obviously around 16-17%. That's what we see, barring the Great Resignation period. So how you see this talent acquisition, and you have touched upon in your presentation what they should focus. So what is your guidance to the talent in this cluster? What they should focus more on?
I think in terms of the talent acquisition stuff, I think first is how do you generate more talent, right? Very, very important. Any place which is kind of emerging like Hubli or here in India or anywhere else in the world, I think is the generation of that talent. I think programs that I've seen work extremely successful have been where the industry is a very significant part of that stuff. So for example, in Colombia, there has been an institution called SENA, which actually works with the industry to train people. I mean, the industry says that this is the kind of people we need, and they'll train them. Yesterday also, I heard about in the Deshpande startups as well, that there's programs like that where they'll work with industry to train people, fine. So, and again, and if you look at other countries, I've seen programs, in fact, we have recommended programs where, like the concept of finishing schools, which means people do have the basic skills, but those are not very applicable to the industry. So you can have courses that will kind of take the basic skills and skill them, finish them so that they are much more applicable to the industry itself. So I think generation of the talent is extremely good, important by the way. But once you have the talent, how do you identify the talent and kind of match it, if you may? For example, I'll just give an example on Gen AI stuff. If anyone says, I want to apply for a job, right now what you do is you have a job profile that you're applying, and you have your own CV, and then you can ask the, Gemini or ChatGPT said that for this particular job and for this CV, can you please suggest what my CV should be edited as, and can you give me a cover letter? And by the way, so the CVs are normally okay, but the cover letter is amazingly good, fine? It basically tells you exactly, and you can see that. There's like someone who reads that cover letter will say, wow, this guy's the right guy, fine? So I think it's the right match, by the way. So what I'm saying is some of those learnings need to come even in the talent acquisition. You have so much of talent, you have so much of the jobs, but it has been so difficult to match the two, fine? And it's like mind-boggling because I can see good people, I can see the requirement, and why does the match not happen? Right? So I think some of those, some of that learning that we see in simple stuff like this ChatGPT that I talked, I think needs to also go in the talent acquisition in terms of the entire process being digitized. Fine. So there are companies like Quest and Teamlease and First Meridian. I happen to be a little bit more associated with First Meridian because of being the independent chairman for that company. But the thing that attracted me in that company was the fact that the entire process they have digitized, if you look at it, fine? I think so and it is available out there, so why don't we bring those practices into Hubli?
And I have just a follow-up question on this, Avinash. While we talk about technology, I had a very recent conversation with few of the organizations. For example, I can name it like LTTS. And they also mentioned while technology is one piece to it, but whether the domain knowledge, because that is going to stay for a longer period, if we have to build Bharat and India for a longer period, whether we should be more focused on the domain knowledge, sector specific, which will be infused with the technology. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, this is something that I would have answered very differently 5 years ago, fine, and I would have completely agreed with you. But right now, I wouldn't take the excuse of the domain knowledge. I wouldn't. Because I think, if you just, today when we get new people within the firm, and, we are a research and a consulting firm as well, and so we need to be really up on it. And these are kids who have just graduated from colleges. And, we would ask them to do certain things, which will give them the aspects of the domain knowledge. With all this Gemini and Chat GPT being available, and, if we tell them to say something, they'll go out there. They don't have any domain knowledge about that stuff. But just look at it, within a week, based on the fact that they do certain things, then have a discussion with one of our senior people within the team, again, do more things. I mean, literally speaking, it's in a week's time, they have so much of understanding, deep understanding of that domain and knowledge about that domain that a lot of experienced consultants won't have it. Fine? A lot of experienced consultants won't have it. Because I think once a client kind of goes back into things, and the thing is that some of consultants who are experienced have not gone back into the factories or not gone back into with the clients at the ground level to really know what's happening. And so that domain knowledge is very outdated today, right? So I wouldn't take the domain knowledge as an excuse anymore.
No, absolutely. And one of the challenge what I see in clusters like, and this is not only limited to this cluster, but any emerging hubs, when I have a conversation with any of the GCC leader and I request them to set up a shop here, they say, okay, when you talk about the fresher talent or even 2 to 3 years of experience, it's amazingly available. You can hire people at a very fast pace. The moment it comes to the middle managers, that is the challenge. Who is going to manage that? Because still, that is a little challenging piece in any of the emerging hubs. I was recently at Coimbatore. Colruyt has set up a new shop in Coimbatore, and now they are struggling more towards how we can attract the middle managers to come and manage the things for them. So what is your point of view in that? Because this is something is going to drive emerging hubs. That's what I can look towards too.
Right. Now, I think this question is a very, very good question. I think this question is one thing that has been a challenge forever, pretty much. And it is still a challenge. And also, I think this is so much appropriate for, Bharat, basically, for Hubli, by the way. Because, first of all, it's difficult to get hold of good middle-level management, and trying to have them come over to a place, like Jaipur or Hubli is very difficult. And as you said, because of a community, social life, because of schools for the children, and because of the hospital sector and all of those things, by the way. I think it's difficult, right? And I would say that it is very critical. In fact, I would call it as the most critical stuff. Then, as you said, freshers are available. Even the senior management is also available because we don't need so many of them today. And especially with all this AI stuff coming in, I think the one area where you would find the most acute need, even more than before, is the middle level management. I think this is where I believe, the middle level management should be tapped, not necessarily by bringing them into a place like Hubli. I think where we talk about a hybrid workforce, I think that level of talent is something that we should source from wherever it is, and not necessarily need to have them come into the local. I mean, it's always great. I'm a complete believer of people working, in offices face to face, because the level of collaboration, the level of innovation that happens is amazing, right? And it's not just me, it's the clients which are also thinking the same. Because today, clients are saying, I have operations in India, I have operations in Philippines, I have operations elsewhere. I need nearshore operations. They're demanding it. They're demanding from themselves, they're demanding from Accenture, Infosys, everyone. So if you look at it, it's not an option. It's a demand by the clients. Why? Because they say that, right now, instead of 500 people, I need 50 people, but I need more time to collaborate with them in the same time zone. Right? So that is becoming important. So as long as we can have some middle-level management available in a similar time zone, I think wherever it is. So for example, Sri Lanka has amazing talent, fine? Why not tap into Sri Lanka? It's just our flight from here, for example, same time zone in that sense. So I think people have to kind of think beyond and make sure that middle-level management is very critical, and we should.
And you raise a fantastic point. I met somebody from Sri Lanka. They were in one of the event in Chennai, and they are requesting people come to Sri Lanka. Everything is ready. It's all plug and play. Skill-wise, I can get you people from Chennai and all that stuff. So interesting. I think we are short of time, but before I let you go, you have spent now almost 1.5 days in Hubli. And any recommendations from your side, especially from the talent standpoint, what they should do, what they should not do, if you can summarize in that, that will be helpful. And also some recommendation, because you have experience of 3 decades, to start up, how to scale, because when we talk about entrepreneurship, innovation, but the moment it comes to commercialization, that is the big challenge.
So again, I think in terms of the talent, I really am a very, very big believer of fresh talent, by the way, fine? So I think as long as you have smart people, this is not a time and age where you can have people saying, come, I'll train you on a process of 10 steps, over the course of a month or 3 months and do it. I think those days are gone, by the way, fine. And unfortunately, you have to have, smart people. Now, sometimes, smartness is not governed by someone who is a lawyer, accountant, engineer, or a doctor, by the way. Smartness, the skills that are, people may not have given more emphasis before, the creative skills, okay? So even if someone is great in art, psychology, and all this stuff, it's extremely important. Because today, one of the things that you are doing first is about the consumer experience, first of all. And that is probably not best done by the technicians, by the technical engineers. It is not. In fact, over the last 10 years, I have kept those people outside in the sense that you listen, you don't speak, fine? Because the only thing you know how to speak is this cannot be done, it cannot be done, fine? So I don't want that to be. So creative talent is very, very important. So if you look at Accenture, way back in 2010, we acquired a company called Fjord that was the studio, design studio. And the whole idea is to tell clients that, we have the technical team come and listen to the conference room, but if anyone speaks, just shoot them. Because, we want the client to dream even unimaginable dreams, by the way, fine? So is that. So I think, so for you, the talent that we should develop, in Bharat, in Hubli, is that creative talent, fine? We are so good at developing technical talent and all of that stuff, but we do not give any emphasis, and we do not know how to deal with the creative talent. So I think that awareness of the design, the awareness of creativity, the awareness of re-experiencing the consumer experience is the #1 requirement.
Sure. Amazing points. I think we are running short of time now. Thank you very much, Avinash. It was a pleasure talking to you always. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We request you to stay back on the stage. Thank you for your invaluable insights on GCC to Bharat. I now request Mr. Sanjeev Gupta to present the mementos to our esteemed speakers.
Avi, you have been doing such a great work for the GCCs. Can you give some small commitment? In next 365 days, you will at least get 1 GCC to Hubli. And what we offer here is a good quality talent. The airport, you've already seen it. Infrastructure, benefits, cost benefits. Social infrastructure of international schools, hospitals, 5-star hotels, everything is available. Can you?
Fine, where's the agreement? I'll sign on it with you. Really speaking, I think if you look at it, just the experience that I had yesterday at the Deshpande startups, fine, gives me zero doubt that what you said can be done very easily.
Thank you. Thank you, Avi.
We're about to take a short tea break, so feel free to stretch your legs, grab a cup of coffee or tea, and mingle with fellow attendees, leaving you an opportunity to network, share your thoughts on the session, or just recharge. You may be rewarded for the networking opportunity in our further segments. So make sure to be back promptly so we can keep the momentum going. The tea is arranged in the downstairs dining hall, and please be seated back in the auditorium in 15 minutes.
Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2, 2.
Welcome to a state where humanity and tech unite to break boundaries. Where tomorrow is imagined on a foundation of knowledge. Research and development are at the core, prompting the world to build game-changing global innovation centers. Breaking boundaries in innovation, catalyzing the ecosystem, generating centers of excellence, the source of creation, providing a playing field for the next generation. To shift paradigms, leap ahead. Thrive, create, innovate, get set for success. Set new benchmarks, birth new unicorns. Generate life, regenerate the planet, where talent finds opportunity in a cosmopolitan environment. With progressive policies, nurtured by nature, a rich culture that welcomes and encourages diversity, so that boundaries don't exist. Welcome to Karnataka, where the world will converge at the Bengaluru Tech Summit 2024. To be unbound. Welcome to a state where humanity and tech unite to break boundaries. Where tomorrow is a foundation of knowledge. Research and development are at the core, prompting the world to build game-changing global innovation centers. Breaking boundaries in innovation, catalyzing the ecosystem, generating centers of excellence, the source of creation, providing a playing field for the next generation. To shift paradigms, leap ahead. Thrive, create, innovate, get set for success. Set new benchmarks, birth new unicorns. Generate life, regenerate the planet, where talent finds opportunity in a cosmopolitan environment. With progressive policies, nurtured by nature, a rich culture that welcomes and encourages diversity.